Clearly, you found him as distasteful as I did.
On the contrary.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the scariest and most unforgettable psychopaths in television. These characters can be from a series or a miniseries, but we will be excluding representations of real people like Jeffrey Dahmer. Spoilers ahead.
For what I did, I should be dead.
Number 20, Tom Ripley. Ripley.
You have the same shoes that Dickie and I have.
Do I? I don't think I've seen Dickie's.
Oh, he wears his all the time.
In 2024, Netflix had a go at The Talented Mr. Ripley, which had previously been adapted as a movie in 1999 starring Matt Damon. While Damon's iteration was still sociopathic, he was a bit warmer than Andrew Scott. This version of Ripley is truer to the book. Much colder, distant, largely unemotional, and totally psychotic. He's a dedicated con man through and through, not caring who he hurts or victimizes. His crimes include the likes of forgery, fraud, identity theft, and yes, even murder. Multiple murders. This Tom Ripley's not afraid to get what he wants, and if you have something that he wants, he certainly isn't afraid to kill you for it.
His Rolex, his clothes, his Ferragamos. What else have you got, Tom? His money, his Picasso.
Number 19, Nina Myers, 24.
I can't let you go. Not yet.
We're still mad about what Nina did to Jack. 24 pulled off a fantastic twist in its first season, revealing that Nina was a traitor selling powerful government intel to terrorists. As if that wasn't bad enough, she also personally killed Jack's wife Terry by tying her to a chair and shooting her in the chest. Nina operates with deceptive charm, seducing and eliminating her targets seemingly without a second thought, not to mention betraying friends and murdering those who get in her way. Plus, you know, there's the whole collaborating with terrorists thing. Driven entirely by violent self-interest, Nina is a true psychopath.
Because you're worse than a traitor, Nina. You don't even have a cause. You don't believe in anything. But you would sell anyone and everything out to the highest bidder.
Number 18, Kilgrave, Jessica Jones.
What are you doing in Jessica's apartment with all the lights off?
The lights are off to suggest no one is here, but you couldn't take a hint.
This series is much darker than other entries in the MCU, containing many serious themes and a general storyline centered around trauma. At the heart of it all is Kilgrave, who has a very disturbing past with Jessica Jones. Kilgrave is able to manipulate anyone he wants thanks to his mind control powers, and if they fight back or break free, he simply kills them. His past with Jessica is filled with abuse. He destroys people's lives by making them do what he wants, and he even has people maim and kill themselves for his own personal amusement. This guy gives Thanos a run for his money in the psychopathy department.
So you came here for a confession?
I came here to end the collateral damage you've been piling up around me. The confession was the last ditch.
Number 17, Natalie Buxton, Bad Girls.
Oh, don't you worry, sir. I've got big ideas for this library. And you've got more than just a clever pair of hands at your service.
It's all right there in the title. These are Bad Girls, the inmates of a South London prison called Larkhall. The series has a huge cast of characters, all of whom land in different places of the moral spectrum. Some are good people, some are iffy, and some are outright evil. Enter Natalie Buxton, the baddest of them all. Natalie is a human trafficker who uses a school as a front and often makes the children a subject of her horrific crimes. Her past is so terrible that she becomes the target of the other inmates, but that doesn't stop her from becoming the local prison mastermind, making crystal meth and blackmailing guards to get away with it. Number 16, Dennis Reynolds, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Like a more extreme Seinfeld, this show follows some not-so-nice and incredibly selfish people, but Dennis Reynolds makes them all look like saints. Like a true psychopath, Dennis appears relatively normal on the outside, even handsome and charismatic. He dresses well and tries his best to be cool and seductive, but he can barely conceal the intense hatred he has for humanity. Dennis has delusions of grandeur and is extremely narcissistic, but that's the least of it. It's heavily implied that Dennis is a predator. His DENNIS system is all about stalking and harassing women, and he may be a murderer. Maybe even a serial killer. Yes, this show is a comedy.
Dude, what's all that stuff you're grabbing?
Tools! Tools! Duct tape, zip ties, and gloves! I have to have my tools!
Number 15, Martin Keamy, Lost.
I need you to tell me exactly how many people are on that island and where every single one of them is.
This show is all about moral ambiguity, with many of the characters having both good and bad traits, but not Martin Keamy. This guy's all evil all the time. Despite his limited screen time, Keamy certainly made an impression on the fans and is now regarded as the series' most despicable villain. He's so disgusting that he even made us feel bad for Ben, and that's no easy feat. Keamy's nothing but a paid mass murderer, being hired by Charles Widmore to raid the island and kill everyone who occupies it. He has a job to do and he sets out to do it, even if that includes executing teenagers in cold blood.
I'm not coming out of this house. So if you want to kill her, go ahead and do it.
Number 14, Ralph Cifaretto, The Sopranos.
It's my fault she's a klutz.
When even a gang of murderous criminals calls you psychotic, you know you're not right in the head. Joe Pantoliano was born to play bad guys, and he won an Emmy for his performance as the deranged Ralph Cifaretto. Ralph is a sadomasochistic gangster, driven by nothing but self-interest, money, and power. While he seems to care about his children, Ralph doesn't have much regard for other lives, having beaten a pregnant woman and maybe burning a horse alive. His actions are so deplorable that they slowly erode Tony's psyche, and he eventually beats Ralph to death for just generally being a D-bag.
Beautiful innocent creature. What did she ever do to you?
Number 13, Villanelle, Killing Eve.
You want me not to kill someone? You do know what I do, right?
By their very nature, assassins hold some degree of psychopathy, being paid to take human lives. That's the case with Villanelle, a Russian hitwoman who works for a shadowy organization called the 12. Villanelle is a psychopath to a T, being both a mass murderer and a master manipulator. Whether it's mimicking accents or toying with her victims, Villanelle only displays what she wants people to see, and then usually just kills them anyway. She killed dozens of people throughout the series, and often in horrifically brutal ways. These aren't quick shots to the head. No, these kills are personal, bloody, and wickedly disturbing.
Because you will never understand how much harder it is to be nice and normal and decent than it is to be like you.
Number 12, Oh Il-nam, Squid Game.
그건 당신이 할 소리가 아닌 것 같은데.
The Korean show that took the world by storm, Squid Game is an interesting examination of class, desperation, and moral quandaries. The series features a type of villain we don't often see, an old man nearing the end of his life and not really caring what he does with the time he has left. This is Oh Il-nam, the creator of the Squid Games, who poses as a frail old man within them. Il-nam is personally responsible for thousands of deaths, and his death games were created for no other reason than his own sick amusement. He's also a terrific manipulator, having hidden in plain sight with the people he planned to kill and garnering their sympathy along the way.
우리는 깐부잖아. 기억 안 나? 우리 손가락 걸고 깐부 맺은 거.
Number 11, Oliver Saxon, Dexter.
I've never been good at relationships. Longest was a couple of weeks, and she was chained to my radiator, so I guess it doesn't much count.
While Dexter himself started out as a psychopath, he arguably overcame those tendencies by the series' end. But not Oliver Saxon. Dexter himself refers to Saxon as a perfect psychopath, being highly manipulative, completely devoid of empathy, and a perfect mimic of ordinary human emotions. But inside, Saxon is utterly empty. He feels nothing and is a highly successful serial killer, having murdered 16 people, including his own girlfriend and mother, not to mention Dexter's adoptive sister, Deborah.
This is Detective Deborah Morgan. I've been shot. Please send help.
Number 10, Todd Alquist, Breaking Bad.
You mind leaving the tarp off tonight?
It might get cold.
No, I don't mind. I just want to see the stars.
There are a few characters throughout Breaking Bad who could be considered psychopaths, but even the most hardened villains display some degree of humanity. Not Todd. Todd is utterly devoid of compassion and doesn't seem to love or even care for a single soul, other than himself, of course. Todd seems nice enough on the outside, but he's a complete psychopath with a very itchy trigger finger. He kills Drew Sharp after the train robbery, keeps Jesse prisoner, and later executes Andrea, leaving Brock an orphan. Don't let the quiet and polite exterior fool you. This guy's sadistic.
Just so you know, this isn't personal.
Number 9, Jim Moriarty, Sherlock.
I've given you a glimpse, Sherlock, just a teensy glimpse of what I've got going on out there in the big bad world.
Another Andrew Scott character, another psychopath. The guy's good at being cold. In Sherlock, he portrays one of the most famous villains in literary history, and Sherlock's arch-nemesis, Jim Moriarty. He's one of those villains who cause havoc and pain simply for the fun of it, and he makes it his personal goal to torment and eventually kill Sherlock Holmes. It's implied that Moriarty has always been a psychopath, having killed Carl Powers as a boy and going on to live a life of general anarchy. Scott's boyish good looks and smooth talking suggest otherwise, but Moriarty is evil incarnate, and Sherlock stops at nothing to bring him down.
In a world of locked rooms, the man with the key is king, and honey, you should see me in a crown.
Number 8. Norman Bates, Bates Motel.
We're supposed to be together, aren't we, Norman? Are we?
Yeah. Yes, we are, Mother. Forever.
This show asks how a psychopath is born and whether their affliction is a result of nature or nurture. The Norman Bates we see in Psycho is in the throes of his madness, being a successful serial killer and often playing his deceased mother. Bates Motel is his origin story, showing how a troubled but polite young boy becomes the Norman Bates we all know. Freddie Highmore is terrific in the role, at first being mildly sympathetic before falling into total madness. While he is a tragic character to some degree, he's also a serial killer who takes the life of his own mother and hides her corpse at the motel. Let's not forget that.
Mother.
Number 7. Marlo Stanfield, The Wire.
Alright, first thing, we go hard at Webster Franklin's crew. Gave him a chance to get on a tit, he passed. Now we bang on his corners a couple of times till he fold.
Considered one of the greatest shows ever made, The Wire is a complex examination of urban society, ranging from high-ranking government officials all the way down to street-level drug dealers. One of the main antagonists is Marlo Stanfield, a cunning drug kingpin who runs the seedy streets of Baltimore. He values nothing but money and power and sees his subordinates as mere pawns to be controlled and manipulated. He's also indirectly responsible for mass murder, with his crew systematically eliminating those of Avon Barksdale and Stringer Bell. Marlo even hides his corpses in vacant homes, just to add a further degree of nastiness to the violent proceedings.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, you know? The game is a game. Always.
Number 6. Lalo Salamanca, Better Call Saul.
Howard? Howard, you need to leave.
The prequel to Breaking Bad was much calmer than its parent show, but it introduced the most psychotic character in the fictional universe. This is Lalo Salamanca, cousin of the barbarous Tuco. The psychopath gene seems to run in the family, but Tuco punching a dude to death looks like child's play next to what Lalo gets up to. Lalo is much smarter than his brasher cousin, using charisma as a tool and displaying an extraordinary degree of intelligence and manipulation. But he's also just as violent and takes dozens of lives throughout the series, including that of the completely innocent Howard Hamlin. We asked how Jimmy McGill became Saul Goodman. The answer mostly is Lalo Salamanca.
Please just tell us what you want.
Like I said, to talk.
Number 5. Joffrey Baratheon, Game of Thrones.
You sound like a little cat mewling for his mother. Princes don't cry.
We could have put Ramsay Bolton here, but we have to give this spot to the bratty child that everyone hates, Mr. Joffrey Baratheon himself. Of course, Joffrey isn't just a bratty child. He's a genuine sadist, making all the other villains throughout this show look as noble and likable as Ned Stark. Joffrey really has no redeeming qualities. He's violent, spoiled, abusive, and completely without empathy, or even a capacity to love. Joffrey takes great delight in tormenting his victims, whether it's belittling Tyrion or killing Roz just for the fun of it. He's also a terrible and uncaring ruler, as evident throughout much of the second season where he lets King's Landing fall into chaos.
We've had vicious kings, and we've had idiot kings, but I don't know if we've ever been cursed with a vicious idiot.
You can!
I can, I am!
Number 4. Lauren Malvo, Fargo.
Or you could go get in your car and drive away.
Why would I do that?
Because some roads you shouldn't go down.
We don't care how psychotic Lauren Malvo is. We just can't get over that haircut. Expertly played by Billy Bob Thornton, Malvo is a harbinger of chaos, arriving in the small town of Bemidji and stirring up the hornet's nest. Malvo is a total enigma, as we know very little about his personal life, motivations, and morals, or lack thereof. He just wants to sow discontent, cause anarchy, and kill people, and that's exactly what he does. The first season contains many biblical allusions, and Malvo is often compared to Satan himself. It's not hard to see why. This guy's pure evil through and through, a walking metaphor for death more than a human being.
Lester, is this what you want?
Number 3. Homelander, The Boys.
But with you and I together, they wouldn't stand a chance. Nobody would.
A brilliant, hilarious, but ultimately brutal subversion of the superhero genre. The Boys has enjoyed incredible popularity, and Homelander's the breakout star. Everyone loves a good villain. Despite his heroic veneer, Homelander's an out-of-control psychopath, obsessed with his own self-image and engaging in some of the most deplorable violence ever seen on television. Wanton murder aside, Homelander's also just a disgusting individual, being unabashedly narcissistic and holding supremacist beliefs, believing that non-supes are mud people. He's an unrepentant psychopath, the complete opposite of a hero.
Well, PR is drafting a response as we speak. Acknowledgement, apology, action.
No. Apology? No.
Number 2. Frank Underwood, House of Cards.
Moments like this require someone who will act. Who will do the unpleasant thing, the necessary thing.
The first scene starring Frank Underwood sees him killing a dog, and it only gets worse from there. There have been many duplicitous politicians on TV, but none like this. Stopping at nothing to become president of the United States, Frank will do anything in his power if it means attaining more power. Lying, conniving, and deceiving are the least of his crimes. He's also personally committed murder on 2 occasions and has allowed many more to die through political scheming. He's the ultimate Machiavellian, a symbol of political corruption made incarnate. We can only shake our heads and gape at the lows to which Frank Underwood digs.
That I wasn't a part of someone's...
Finish your thought.
part of someone's murder.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal.
I'm curious as to what fate befell Dr. Fell to see you here in his stead.
One of the most famous fictional psychopaths in history, Hannibal Lecter's a monster of a man and has long been regarded for his dreadful behavior. Mads Mikkelsen does a tremendous job taking the reins from Anthony Hopkins, which was certainly no easy feat. This iteration of Hannibal is much colder than the one portrayed by Hopkins, offering little in the way of outward charisma. He's an unemotional robot, utterly devoid of love or adoration, and focused on little more than twisting Will's psyche. Of course, Hannibal's also a seasoned killer, and his many grotesque crimes are captured in vivid detail throughout the course of the series. And yes, that includes many instances of eating.
Your legs are no good to you anymore. You've got a T4 fracture of the vertebra. This is a far more practical use for those limbs.
Which of these characters do you find the scariest? Let us know in the comments below.
Aren't ordinary people adorable?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.